Hey, hello and welcome to the wallPen podcast. I am your host, James Wright, and we're going to talk about the art and the business of vertical printing. As always, I have the co-founders of wallPen North America, Marc Tisdall and Mark Clauser. And today on episode number 8, we have straight from Germany, wallPen Germany, Luke Morton, sales manager from wallPen Germany. Thank you for joining our show today.
Hey, James. Thanks for having me. Hi, guys.
Luke.
Hello, Luke. How are you?
Obviously,
It's
you
an
guys...
honor. I'm looking forward to this. This will be exciting.
Yeah. Obviously, you guys already know each other, so there's some good relationships there and some good jokes, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's all right, I guess. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess for our listeners who don't know who you are, can you just give sort of like a background of who you are and how you came to be with wallPen Germany?
Yeah, so Luke Morton, as you said, I've been with the company for coming up 2 years now.
Nice.
It's been quite a exciting journey, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the project, and obviously working together with the two Marcs has been an interesting ride as well. Some ups and downs, but trying to get to where we want to go, and it's been. It's good. It's a great team over here in Germany, and an exciting product, and looking forward to what the future brings as well.
Nice. And how is it going in Germany? Like, because we had a operator who is from Holland on the last episode, and it was just good to like hear his insights on like wallpen and vertical printing from overseas and his perspective. I don't know. Is there like, what are you seeing over in the German side of things?
Yeah, it's an interesting market, and for us as the manufacturer, and looking at all kinds of different opportunities when it comes to market space, different regions, different countries, different continents. There's such a mix of opportunities for us, but also for our customers, for the users, for the operators. And I think it's, in the whole world, at times it can be a bit crazy. But with what we try to offer, it's something that gives excitement, gives opportunity. And that's really what motivates us every day. And I think, especially here in Germany, it's also something still brand new, even here. Yeah. And a lot of people are maybe not as aware of what it actually is. Yeah. If I tell you on the phone, it's what is wall printing? What is that actually? Yeah. So and that's one of the challenges we have.
Right.
Yeah, we need to get it out there, and I think the two Marcs in North America have been doing really well with that, and we are trying to learn from each other and see where it takes us.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's definitely one of those things with this doing what we do is you spend so much time with the equipment, so much time printing that you forget how new and exciting it can be sometimes to the rest of the world. It's every day for us. And it's not until you actually get out of your office and get out of your shop and print on site and see the reactions of people that you realize like, oh my God, this is as revolutionary as I originally thought it was, and still carries that wow pizzazz factor,
Yeah.
Yeah, the good thing for me, I think, and I hope that we get that out more and more, is actually seeing the reaction. Yeah, if you're with people, if you have them either on camera or in person, and actually showing these wall prints, it's something where you get a lot of excitement and joy. Yeah, and that's something for me personally as well, but also for my colleagues here, is really something that keeps us going and really gives us, a good feeling with what we're doing. And I think that's something very cool, something unique. Aside from the actual product, it makes you feel, very happy in your environment. And it really is amazing to have that. Yeah,
That's awesome.
It's crazy. It's crazy,
man.
Man. Even after 5 years or whatever we're at, Klaus, or maybe we're up to 6 now at this point. But
Almost.
yeah, like even though we do and we have used it all the time, like for me, like it's still, when you hit go and you watch that thing laying down ink, I still find it hard to believe that that's what it's doing. You know, like having gone through all the permutations and evolutions of the wall pen tech, it's absolutely insane. Where we are now is like the absolute perfect certainty we have that when you hit go, it's going to be like those images behind you. It's like that's just a sampler of like
Yeah, it's awesome.
what evokes. You know what I mean? Imagine that thing at 12 feet. Like imagine like you're going to actually lay down those murals. They just leave you feeling something. You know, I think it's impossible to remain agnostic about it. You know, however you feel, like it'll evoke something in you just by the consequence of watching it go and how it got there. And yeah, it really is. It's been a very fun journey. I echo your sentiments.
Yeah, and like even coming from like the standpoint of being like an outsider looking in, and stopping by the office here in Toronto and actually like using the printer, it's pretty amazing. Like that feeling just doesn't seem to go away. Like after a couple prints, I think we did like 5 prints yesterday, and just testing out things and seeing how it works and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty amazing. I guess like taking sort of like a viewpoint of the German market, like is there something or businesses that you're seeing that are very popular over there that maybe we might be missing out on in North America? Because here we have coffee shops, we have breweries. Are you seeing anything in Germany where there's lots of prints going up in certain businesses or areas?
They don't have breweries in Germany.
No, we don't. That's a myth.
And sorry, just to clarify
flows from
for
the
you.
tap.
Yeah, that's right. Just straw in the ground. But just to clarify, wallpen Germany operates a wall printing service as well as the distribution of tech. So just to clarify for
That's
the
awesome.
listeners, like they are actively, kind of like we do, to show the marketplace what it can do in those things. You guys have taken on some pretty decent sized jobs too, what I understand.
Oh, definitely, and it's something which is so important to learn as well. Yeah, if you are actually selling the device, selling the business opportunity, you have to be able to do it yourself and get that experience. Yeah, and to your question, James, I think there is such a diversity of options and so many different users and so many different ideas that it's really hard to single out the one, perfect solution, because it really depends on what the user also wants to operate and how they can maybe fit it into their existing business, or really just get starting with the wall printing itself. But I see so much opportunity when it comes to public institutions as well, care
Right.
homes, nurseries, hospitals. That's something we've done as well. That just gives you options also to really get to bigger numbers when it comes to actual square meters that you're printing. So as Marc said, these samples behind me are amazing and something really nice. But if it comes to the larger prints, that's something really mind-blowing. And also when it comes to actually earning some hard cash, it's the way to go.
Nice.
Yeah, to put some of those projects into perspective, and we cut this out. It's confidential information, but they just worked on a project where they had 6, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, 6 wall printers printing at one time to kind of give you the idea of the breadth of scope that's possible. There are projects that can justify multiple machines in one location at once. 2-3 weeks worth of printing. That's a huge project with big money attached to it. So those projects are certainly available. You don't necessarily need 6 machines to do it, but having multiple machines on some of these larger scale projects is
Wow, that's
kind
insane.
of a good way to put the size of the opportunity into perspective.
What have been like some of like the more interesting prints that you've done over in Germany? Just thinking outside of I don't know, the box kind of thing. Like, is there any few prints that have like stood out to you like over your years of using the wall print? Or
I think even for me personally, I was doing one even last weekend. We were at a Graffiti Jam, which was, a lot of artists involved as well. So again, a totally different route. And we were actually printing outside in the open in the, it was for once, a very sunny day over here. And yeah, it's also something, again, which I personally haven't done as often. And you just learn every time you're printing, you gain more experience. you gain a different audience, and you also get the feedback on site, and that's something very special. But for us as a company, I think these bigger projects have also been super exciting. But also seeing what our customers are doing is something we try to share on our socials and on Instagram, etc. Having prints all over the world and getting more every day is something, as I said, we can learn from each other, and gain experience from each other, and that's really the key to being successful, I think. Getting that experience and knowledge.
Can you tell me more about this Graffiti Jam real quick? Like, what was it? Like, were there actual like graffiti artists spray painting, and then the wallpen was sort of competing against them?
In a sense, yes. We had one of the guys who's an artist who actually couldn't make it that day. He was from, I think, busy somewhere else.
Right.
So we sort of stepped in with the wallpen, and we had the feedback we got even from the graffiti artists was,
That's
wow, I've never seen anything like this before. And then when you have that conversation, they're thinking, oh yeah, you're right. I could, incorporate my work into that as well. And we had, from the audience perspective, all different age ranges and so many ideas. We had a guy, thinking about, doing his garage with his Harley Davidson on it and stuff like that. So you get so many good feedback when the people are involved and actually have the visible connection to the wallpen and to the wall prints. Yeah.
In other words, to our operators, if you want to sell wall printing, like show them the machine operating. I've always tell people, there's no better sales tool than getting that printer printing, right?
Yeah.
It's a see it to believe it kind of experience for sure.
Yeah.
See, I love the fact that you just mentioned that the wallpen was like, collaborating with like these actual other like graffiti artists. I think that sounds like a really good event for us to host here in the Toronto market, because I know, sort of like the hip hop culture and the urban culture, and I think there's something there, like a graffiti jam, and then it's almost like a competition against a robot in a way. It's pretty cool. I'd love to see that live. That's so good. And then too, just like, we talked about this before on another podcast, like artists using the machines, or artists also, using it as a way to enhance what they're already doing. Are you seeing that? I'm guessing in Germany as well, like the teamwork between the two.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think it's a nice mix of also digital art, but also the more classical, actual paintings that are then, photographed and basically enhanced with the wall pen. So there's a nice mix there. Yeah. And again, I'll be repeating myself all the time, I guess. There's just so many options, so many different routes to go along. Yeah. And if you are thinking about, going down that route of offering the service, that's really, it's just the beginning. The market is wide open for anybody to bring in their ideas and to really get also a high return on their initial investment. Yeah. Every print you make, every time the machine runs, you can be earning money for yourself. Yeah. But also you're demonstrating the product, making it more visible, getting a bigger audience, getting a bigger market share. And that's something for us, that's one of the main focuses. Yeah, really getting it out there and getting the people to understand what's possible and how you can be successful with our device.
Yeah, there's always, the longer we're in this, there's always like so many creative applications for this that we had never really thought of. And this may have been before your time, Luke, but wallpen in, I believe it was early 2020, were a key component to a Milan Fashion Week exhibit. And they basically, those 6 wall pens, and a major fashion brand used the wall pen to release their winter line by printing 12-foot tall models wearing the jackets. I think it was Montclair or something like that. But yeah, it was crazy to see. It was really shitty timing because it happened like immediately before COVID. So like this whole amazing spectacle of wall pens at a like major international event just kind of got completely shrouded in the COVID news. But I've always thought of that being such a wild application at such a global stage to print that way. I thought that was
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
this with what I always say to people when they talk about the applications or where do I start, for example, I always say pick one path. Think of something that you also enjoy doing. My classic example is, yeah, you can do your favorite soccer team or your favorite football team or whatever in the man cave. Of course, you can do that. Yeah, that is an option as well. But then you can think a little bit bigger, which is then the sort of project business, the likes of what we've talked about previously is hotels. Yeah, think about printing in one hotel. The possibility you have, the amount of bare walls everywhere is insane and really exciting to get started. Yeah.
Yeah, I always tell people like at the end of our conversations when, prospective operators are calling in and like it's like, look, just as a fair warning, like I can promise you two things. One, after this call, everywhere you go, all you're gonna see is white space everywhere. Right? Guaranteed. It's just white walls everywhere. Every airport, you're like, oh my God, the possibilities here, right? And two, if you do come to like Asheville, our headquarters, if you come and you're like well researched and you're thinking about doing this, you will walk away having purchased one. Just like be aware of that. Of like you're not going to come here and then convince yourself you don't want it. That's good. It's going to be the opposite effect of what you think you're going to get. And yeah, I totally agree, man. I think it's funny. Sometimes I get on calls with people and like I feel like sometimes like I could just like put myself on mute and just let them talk out all the different, I think what are the ways people describe it? Like my brain is burning. Some guy yesterday was talking about like, dude, I can't stop. I'm like, hey, look, buddy, I'm here for you. I'm going to put you on our support line. All right. James is going to talk you through this. All right. Yeah.
Oh, but that's great. I mean, that's so good. Again, it's the feedback and that's the kind of feeling you get as well. Then, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the fact that you mentioned like, you can print like your favorite football team in your basement or whatever else. And just thinking back to the last podcast, and we had an operator on, and he's like an avid gym goer. He's like, doing CrossFit and whatever else. He decided to put up a free print in his gym, and from that free print, he's able to like generate tons of business from the other people that go to that gym. So it's like one of those things where like there's so much opportunity out there. Like you see blank walls everywhere, and just go with what to start off. And just thinking too, like you being a sales manager, is there like some tips or some sales tips that you can give operators at all, or like some go-tos?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. The key thing for me, and that's no question, and you've just mentioned it, is the visibility. Yeah, you have to show what it actually is. Yeah, it's still new, even though the guys have been with us now for many years already, and it seems like ages, but it is a new technology. It's a new addition to design worlds, and the main thing is to really get that part of your business right. Yeah, and we try and give as many sort of hints and tips and guidelines what to go with. What you mentioned, James, is a perfect example. Even if the first initial print is maybe free of charge, but it gets the business out there, it gets
Right.
it, and it attracts people, and that's what our successful customers have been really good at. Yeah, they have been out there, they have been getting the word out, be it over social media or live. Yeah, and that's the combination and the balance of those two components is probably key to really get a sort of stream and flow of jobs in. And then, as I said, once the machine is running, you can basically sit back and really reap the benefits of that. And I think for me, if I'm lucky in my position, I get to see all of this diversity, all of the different customers that we have, and I really believe that it's something that gives the operators joy, but also the sort of customers and the audience. And that's the sort of wave our customers have been trying to ride as well. Yeah, it's quite an emotional thing, let's say, even. Yeah, it's something that reels you in and really gets you, attracted to what it can offer. And I think obviously we cannot give the absolute, map to success that matches the ideas of our customers, because there's just too many. There's too many options. There's too many good ideas. But I think it's also a sort of learning curve that we and our customers are sharing together. Yeah.
Right.
And it's really turning into something positive. And yeah, as I said, the opportunities are insane still. Yeah.
That's all. And like, I always like to come at these conversations from like, being on the fence, like, should I get one? Should I not get one? And, I guess thinking about like competitors, and we don't have to name competitors, but just like what makes wallPen stand out more so, like the actual machine itself, like what makes it stand out more so than, any competitors that are out there? Like, what would you say are the benefits are more so than other printers out there?
I mean, especially for North America, the local support, of course. Yeah, if you're looking at the two guys
Luke,
joining us today.
That's so nice of you, buddy.
See, I set that one up
Yeah.
there for you.
Oh boy, lob it up there for him.
Yeah, but it's the truth. Yeah, I mean, you've got two guys there that are sort of living and breathing our device and really are taking care of their customers, and really taking care and being involved with the project, and also giving those guidelines and how to be successful. And I think from an actual hardware perspective, I mean, it speaks for itself. Yeah, the machine, the quality is something we are very proud of, because it's also very, let's say, regional, really made in Germany, really a lot of development over the years that has been based on customer feedback as well. Yeah, and that's something that has really advanced us over the years. And I think we're now looking at a device that is very stable, gives you a lot of opportunities. We just mentioned all the white walls. We're now also speaking about dark and black walls, because we can, actually do the white ink as well. But as I said, the guys supporting over here in Germany, but also in North America, gives you the sort of complete package, to feel comfortable when you're printing, to feel confident when you're printing with the machine. And that's something, our customers can rely on. And I think that's something, very special and unique nowadays.
Yeah, when Luke says regional manufacturing, it's regional. We were in Germany visiting the last time. We drove to the suppliers. Like they are within a car trip away. You're getting all of the aluminum extrusion and machining being done down the road, the electronics that are being done. It's amazing to see the industrial side of Germany and how nucleated it can be while bringing everything up. A fun experience.
Well, we should tell them the story of when we first looked them up. We were planning. So Mark and I purchased one of our competitors, and through several weeks of experimentation, realized, like, as Luke was alluding to, the name of the game is consistency, right? This is not a toy. Like, it's not designed. I mean, I suppose if you have a black Amex card, I'm sure you could swipe it. It's like, that's great, But if you're buying this for an investment point of view, right, the number one thing that you have to be able to do is get a return on that investment. In order to get the return, the printer has to work. So Mark and I went through that formula. We tried it with one of our competitors. It was very clearly not going to be reliable. Whether we could print 1 out of 10 or whatnot is not, as a hobby, sure, but we wanted to show up, print, and then leave. And we sat down over a beer, and we were sort of kicking around, should we design our own? It's like, I don't know if I'm that good of an engineer, if we're being honest. Like, I've got engineer in my title. I don't know if that means I can design actual machinery to do it. But in our research, it was like, hey, there's this guy in Germany that I know is like he's the only guy that I know that's doing something that's a little bit different. Everybody else kind of comes from the same, comes from China basically, and they're all just mimicking each other. This one's really stands out as unique. Like, I wonder if he'd be open to us kind of coming out and seeing what he's up to. At the time, I think he had 3 prototypes, maybe total. Like, this was the very early days, and they were, very, very open right away, like actually like, thrilled, and still are to this day. It's one of my favorite things about wallpen is like how absolutely open door they are to people coming and seeing it. They want to, as Luke was saying, like we want to educate the
That's
market.
cool.
So like it'd be kind of silly to be like, no, you can't come see us, right? But we get it. We get we're all lined up. Mark and I booked flights to Frankfurt. We're gonna drive because it's like Frankfurt to this like town, and so I'm like, show me the address again, and like we zoom in and we're looking at it, I'm like, that we might want to call and make sure we got the address right. It was like one tiny little house in the middle of like this farm country. And I was like, oof, dude, all right, well, let's make sure like, no, that's us. Yep, come in. And, our very early days in Germany, they were working out of I guess a garage shop is what you would call it. It's sort of like an office shop space above it, but yeah, in the middle of nowhere. And they have come leaps and bounds since then. Right. I mean, you guys keep acquiring commercial space to deal with like, oh, we hired, 30 more people and we're going to be, we're going to mine our own aluminum now. We bought an aluminum mine. We're going to go ahead and just start. It's like the direction they're going. And to further sort of to Luke, to your commentary about like how it compares, there's a massive difference between hacking components like horizontal components and making it orientated vertically than engineering the piece from soup to nuts. And Mark and I can speak to the whole, to every, what machine did we get, Mark? Maybe number 5, something like that is probably what we bought, if not earlier, honestly. It was very, very early days. To watch where they started to where they went to and the evolution of the E1. There was an E1 upgrade kit. Then they moved to the E1 Plus as like an offering. And then finally to, the E2, which, as I tell people, like was just a complete game changer that just changed the whole market. Honestly, this is like the Apple II. This is like all of a sudden personal computing is possible. The E2 is like all of a sudden, I would say like 100%. The word I could use that I don't think anybody else could use in the space is guarantee. I guarantee it'll work. And if it doesn't work, I guarantee we can fix it and get you printing again. Show me anybody else in the space that's willing to say that and put their name behind it, because that's one of all the things that I'm sure of. That one I'm absolutely positive of. And it speaks to the way that these guys have taken on the big challenge of like, how far do you go in the invention side of things before you realize like you might have to invent the entire thing, And I think that was like in a lot of ways how I would describe the process to D2 is like, you know what? We're just gonna invent rubber. Like we're just whatever we need to do to get into the guts of this thing to make it work, And the way that I try to describe it is like, go Google what a drop analyzer is. Go go watch some slow-mo videos of what that actually means. Because the heads shoot picoliter droplets, picoliter, I think it's 10 to the negative 9 or something like that.
1 trillionth of a liter.
That's crazy.
Microscopic, but they actually shoot 3 for every pixel. And in the air, 2 of them collide to create that. Like, wow, if all you did was that as your business, that would be like quite an undertaking. These guys are integrating this into a version of this technology that nobody else had ever achieved. First of all, nobody ever really looked at it, like Epson and Ricoh and these guys. It's not like they ever considered how they might do this. So all the research that's being done, honestly, like hardcore, probably somewhere in the master's to PhD level of research, is being done in Germany by their team. Like that is being invented, research documented by these guys. And the big companies are coming to them to understand what are you guys doing? How are you doing this application? How does that compare to the competition? It's like, I don't know, I guess use your imagination. Like think about what you think the differences are between a company that's willing to go that far into it, right? Versus like, I can print on walls. It's like, well, I can play basketball. I don't know that really means like the same thing as, let's say Steph Curry doing it, like that kind of thing, right? I think that's probably the best thing about wallpen is like when there's a problem, they dive deeper than you would ever imagine to find 12 more problems. And then they work backwards from that to fix them all in one stroke. And again, can't say it high enough, like to Andreas, especially as the leader on this, like what he accomplished with the E2, having been his friend and like partner for many years on this thing. Just, I know what he was going through in a lot of ways of like what it must have been like to try to force this technology forward. To see where he is today is a testament to his fortitude and his willingness to like really go after the big problems. And that's what this industry needs. That's what like Mark and I try to echo here. Right, not necessarily in the research and development side of things, but in the business support, in the technical support, is like, no, we're not going to do this like the easy way. We're going to do this the right way. You know what I mean? And that's like, I think that's something that like the longer you're around the wallpen community, the more that you're going to find it's self-filtering for that mindset of like, this is not about saving money on a piece of equipment. This is about taking a piece of equipment and driving applications that we can't even think of. Like, where are we going to be in 3 years? I have no idea. To be honest with you, I am positive we can do kids' rooms. I'm positive we can do man caves. Like, all these other ideas start coming out of like, what are the implications? You know, I think I may have said this even on the last episode, but chicken and the egg. Do we do graphics the way we do? Like, is this how we do it because, you know, that's the way the industry's allowed us? Is the wallpen going to change the way we look at it? Is it going to change? You know, I always say, are we going to start doing a lot more smaller graphics everywhere? Like, are we going to change the way we apply graphics in spaces? I would say very likely. I would say as soon as you take Marc and Marc out of the equation as the only guys operating in North America with ideas, and you actually give this to creative people and you see what they can do with it, I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating to plot and see. And to Luke's point, it's kind of hard to guess which one's going to be the big killer app, the big thing. You can see a dire need for it in museums. Of all the people we talk to, museums are sort of desperate for it. You know, give me little text, right? Give me little text that won't fall off the wall that I can get done when I need to. Like, even that alone is fantastic. But yeah, to just wrap that up, like, absolutely got to give 100% kudos to wallpen and their development team. They have done just a phenomenal job. And I might have bet against them, honestly, 5 years ago of like, are we going to be here? It seemed far reaching. It did. It seemed like, oh my God, are we serious? Like, it does not seem like it's going to get there. I mean, you have to sort of psych yourself up to stick on it. And like, I am so glad we did. I'm so glad we're here like today to get application side of this technology. Yeah.
Anyone want to echo anything there? That was a lot.
No,
that was good.
Yeah,
I love that. I love
again,
it.
Yeah,
hear the passion.
Exactly, James. It's a passion, and that's exactly what we need. And it's incredible for me also to see those two guys having that passion and being, you know, there all the way, and they've experienced all the, you know, the difficult times together with Andreas, as Marc just said, and it's something you can see here every day. Everybody that comes into the office, it's not just a regular office job we have here for the employees. It's more like a family, and it's more where really everybody actually is behind the product, behind the idea. And to my, you know, what I said at the beginning, it's the joy that you can experience now. And I guess for everybody joining us now or joining us as a customer, they're obviously getting the nice and positive results, whereas Marc and obviously my boss, Andreas, you know, they've been along a rough ride, but it's something that's definitely been worth it. And as I said, we're immensely proud of that, and it's good to hear those words as well, Marc.
I was Luke, I was having a conversation with Andreas just last week, and kind of echoing Marc's sentiment. There was a new feature updated in the latest processor software. Basically, they went 100 times. That's not hyperbolic. We're now moving and processing images 100 times faster than we were before. And I said, I mean, Andreas, coming from the beginning of this, when it would take us hours to going from hours to minutes, unbelievable. I said, the worst part about this incredible advancement in your technology is anybody who buys the machine from today onwards will have zero idea of how valuable that is. It is going to become part and parcel, and the expectation that, like, of course I can process a like 10-foot wide image in 5 minutes. It's just like, obviously, why wouldn't I be able to do that? That used to take us hours. We'd have to sit for like 2 hours with our machines humming and like burning up. And now it's just like click a button and it happens.
But you know what we are, man. We're the old curmudgeons of this industry. We're like the baby boomers of wall branding. Like, you guys don't know how hard it was to get this. We used to walk uphill both ways to the job. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's so awesome. Yeah, like it's cool too, like what Marc and Marc have done. Like, I signed up with the wallpen hub, and just to see like the community that's within there, like all these different operators are all helping each other with their own individual businesses and tips and tricks, and how do you do this and how you do that. It's like, it truly is like a wallpen family. Like, I've drinking the Kool-Aid, or maybe in this sense drinking the ink. It's pretty incredible to see.
We don't do that. No one in the wallpen
disclaimer: do not drink the ink.
Yeah.
And then like I guess like one of like the new things that have come out with wallpen is the extra slot or the extra spot where you can put the white ink. Is there like any like how's that going for wallpen in terms of the innovation on that and allowing white ink to now be part of the CMYK?
It's a whole new level again, and it's something. It's obviously brand new, so we've just released it last month, basically, and
Mm-hmm.
it's again a learning process because we're now just seeing projects from our customers. We're just getting the sort of first prints started with this, new option, and it's something that unlocks a lot of doors. You had maybe projects in the past where even one section of the wall was a bit darker, where you were like, that might not look as good, but we can give it a try. But now you can have that confidence and say, yeah, no problem. Yeah. And that goes for all these opportunities again that I mentioned. And it just gives you even more flexibility, even more chances as well, yeah, to create, to give that offer of these wonderful spaces that you can really decorate, design, advance, yeah, and that's really something again which has been based on the feedback though, yeah, and that's
Right.
the community spirit. A lot of our customers said, hey, can you not do white? That was always the first question. Hey, what about white on these dark backgrounds? And now that we're finally there, it's insane, and it's again something nice to see, something that fulfills us and our customers. And I think it's just amazing to have that now. And
That's another one from the technical side of things where you're just
Yeah.
like, wow, great, it prints white if you're not familiar, but the overcoming the technical challenges with that, and I mean, like, yeah, we can do a whole podcast on ink dynamics and flow and pigmentation and stuff, but like that's a huge challenge across the industry.
Yeah.
Not just like part of the printing thing. White ink poses such a challenge in all printing applications. So to be able to then convert that into something that can print vertically is like, again, just wild and a testament to some coming out of it. And until you get into the weeds of, inkjet tech and all of that, you kind of, it just becomes it's like how amazing these phones are. It's like until you actually get into a 3 nanometer size chips, to actually understand how absolutely wild that technology is, right? Like, it's just a phone in your pocket. We've accepted that to be the standard.
Yeah, it's interesting.
To get there is pretty
because
incredible.
People ask, I get the question certainly before white was released of like what's the challenge, and it's like it's not really as simple as just saying add white. It's like technically what they've done is they haven't added white ink, they've added a 5th channel. So what that means is like we put white ink into it, but what you're actually saying is like I want to print this, and I also want this information captured that goes with it, right? So a good example of this is like you're printing a background to the image on a black surface, and then you're going to come and you're going to print right on that background all the actual image. Well, that actually isn't the same image if you think about it. It's actually just a silhouette of the image. So they have to like invent from the ripping software to the actual .wallpen file you're creating all the way through the end result. It's like Mark said, sounds really simple. It's like that basically is reinventing maybe 25% of the whole print end. I mean, it's like it's like a reinvention of what you're doing from the software all the way through to the actual droplets. And as Mark alluded to, white ink is the bane of all print shops. If you talk to a print operator, like that's a swear word. It's always a problem because by its very nature, right, it's more viscous. It's got kind of a different consistency. It just has different requirements, right? So it really was a massive transformation. And I have to say, like such a powerful addition to what we did. I don't know, Luke, if you've been following our channels, but we printed a big black rectangle in our space. Like it's crazy. Here's what I wouldn't have bet. And my guy Liam was the one who was like, hey, why don't we try this? You can actually print an image and then you can go right over that same image if you're using white. right? Oh my God, that's crazy. Like, I don't even know what to do with that piece of information yet, but like, it's absolutely insane that like, you may not even need to paint the wall, right? What are the implications of that? You know what I mean? That's like, whoa, we're going to need a year or two and 20 operators all working with it to like think through, what does that open up for us? What can we now do that we couldn't do before? Because CMYK certainly couldn't have done that, not with any sort of like realistically good results. But yeah, man, that changes a whole slew of opportunities out there, right? Especially in a space like selling the printing as a marketing or an advertising where it's like designed to be temporary. Like all of a sudden now we're talking about an opportunity here where like we may not even need to go in and paint the wall. Don't quote me on that. We haven't done enough testing, but there are some like really interesting implications of that. Of like, oh man, now maybe the advertising space and the marketing space becomes extremely viable because we're not, we're skipping a step. You can imagine how far that might actually create a massive solution for us. Yeah.
Crazy. So you're actually saying, so like that, the white ink, it prints out first. Is that what happens? And then then the actual design goes on top of that white
Correct.
ink. That's what's happening essentially.
Yep. That's
Wow.
one aspect of it.
Okay. It's like Marc was saying, it's like
right.
Two images, and they've actually been able to split the heads down the center. And now you're getting the heads are now as one unit are operating independently. So this half is printing white and this half is color. Just like, again, the whole thing is so wild.
So you're essentially like putting down like a base coat. Like that's
an exact base coat.
Exactly where you need your base
insane.
coat.
Wow.
Yeah. And all in one go, and that's the key. Yeah, you don't have to do that first and then reset everything and then do the color
and then go back over.
It's basically in one go, which is it's mind blowing. And
another thing, Luke, that I would say, having spoken to a bunch of operators, some of which have gone with the competition, I actually have regular conversations with them, mostly out of interest of like, okay, tell me about it. We've been very well researched on this topic for many years, of course. The ability for a wallpen to dial in is something that we're still, I think probably of all the technological manuals that we're going to see come out of like multiple operators, is the ability to like really go in there and tune in what you want and how you want it, and that's very unique to the wallpen. To give an example of like changing the y-axis print speed. So if you're going and you want to, text is a good example. What you want for text is very different than like, say, that colorful image you got there behind you, Luke. They're just different print styles, right? You want different things from each of them. And the ability of a wall pen, you can literally go in and basically create a profile and say, in order to get the optimal results in this particular case, it's not that the average wouldn't be acceptable. It's just awesome that you can go in and be like, when I go to do this type of thing, I'm going to make sure I set it up for, again, text being a very good example of that. It's like, it's very, very unique. And white ink is one of those ones that like being able to go in and just dial that thing in just the way that you want. You can imagine like you have a little bit of a white border or it's not quite lined up or it's not, man, having the ability to go in and tune and calibrate to that, like, I don't know what even a fair approximation, certainly a quarter of a millimeter, 0.25 millimeters is probably the level of tolerance.
I would say 0.1.
It's not a contest, Mark. All right. I think 0.25 is fine. No, the ability to do that is unique and very necessary because, with diversity of applications has this requirement of being able to customize how you use the machine. Right. And that's something that's going to be really important as this develops, is having the ability to go in and tune it just the way that you want it to get those optimal results. And it's not something that I necessarily talk about with everybody because you have to kind of have an appreciation for what that means and why. It's like sort of, I would say 15 to 30 prints, somewhere in that range. You're going to like hit something and you go, man, can I do this? And it's like, oh, wow, you're ready for this conversation. Let's talk about, when I say ICC color profile, let's talk about what I mean by that. Right now it's just a file you load and you run. Let's talk about what that actually means, and that's what's super fun as operators get online and they learn more, like the wealth of knowledge that wallpen and like between Marc and some of our operators, the wealth of knowledge that's being created as we do this is like so valuable and so interesting because it's going to open the door that we can't even see, 3 doors down. We can't even see how that's going to enable it.
That's awesome. Is there anything from your end, Luke, that you're seeing that operators are, I don't know, something innovative that they may be doing at their end, or maybe something that's beyond just like the white ink that wallpen is sort of looking forward to do that you can maybe share that's not a secret?
No, definitely, James. I think that is everything that we have achieved is based on those experiences and customers actually trying out crazy things, from curved walls, without the
Right.
railing systems, from, setting up scaffolding and going up, how many meters high to print outside, and these experiments, let's call them, and these sort of experiences that our customers have made have given us the opportunity to develop the hard and software, and really tried to adapt to what is necessary. And as Marc said, we're now at the very beginning with this new technology, with the white ink being added.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited to see what kind of craziness happens, and what the experience will be out there. And again, it's something, as I said, we learn from each other. And I'm hoping that people realize that it's really something, again, to give them the opportunity to also express themselves more, to really give something new and unique to their customer base. And that's the sort of circle it takes. And all of the feedback that arrives in our hands and in our, let's say, heart and soul when it comes to wall printing is essential to continue to get to these borders and see what we can do and dial in, as Marc said.
Watch what you wish for there, Luke.
It's like the circle of...
We got some crazy operators.
I know,
but we got some crazy... I don't know if you've been following some of these guys, man, but they are just like... They're like the punk rock of wallpen. It's like... I especially Marc will call him and be like, hey, what do you think about this? Marc's like, ooh, I don't know. That's like tricky. Maybe not for your first print. And next thing you know, they're sending us videos of them trying this stuff. It's shout out to our guys, Steven and Rokas down in Florida. They certainly don't pull any punches. When they say they're going to go, man, they are like, accelerator down. Let's see how fast this thing goes right out of the gate. Yeah.
Yeah, Luke, I'd be curious to compare notes on that one. Those guys printed, I think, to be what was the biggest wall print ever printed.
Square footage.
Tell us about
square footage. Yeah.
Tell us.
Square footage wise. Yeah.
Now we'll have that American problem with meters and feet and stuff like that. You've lost me now. I can't work that out, Marc. You'll have to translate that for me.
Yeah, 40 feet wide, and
Here,
I don't recommend this because I think it doesn't. But maxed out the height and some. I think they stretched their cable a little further than they necessarily should have. But I think it was like close to 17 feet tall.
Wow.
There's a picture of him standing in front of it, and it is insane. It was just like it was a spectacle of ink. I just couldn't.
It's like 60.
What was the print, and like where was it?
65 square meters.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
60 feet.
65 square meters.
Yeah, that is huge for one. That is insane. Yes, that very well might be
in terms of square footage, because I know you guys did that shark in the museum, which was like 6 meters long, but I think this actually might be like in terms of actual rectangular, and it was full flood too. These guys called and were like, "Hey, we might run out of ink." I'm like, well, I guess that makes sense looking at what you're trying to print.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
we had one of our customers in the Czech Republic. I'm not sure it was the same height or maximum height, but I think it was 15 meters wide. Which
that's crazy.
Again, I'm sorry that I can't work with, but that was insane. It was
45 feet,
and that was outside as well.
Oh wow!
Such a challenge, and that's something that we might not even think of doing initially. And then we see our customers doing that, and it's like, okay, wow, okay. Let's go. Let's try something else, and that's exactly the spirit. And it's fascinating.
I love that. That's so cool to hear. Is that like from the manufacturer side, like customers pushing the envelope on how far you can take the machine, and then it's circling back, right, and just saying like, okay, well, they want to go further. How do we further improve on the technology and the machine itself to allow them to do that with ease as they already have been? Like, that's awesome. That's so good to hear.
I believe my advice was, "Are you sure you guys want to print this?" Was the kind of the last things I said to them, and then the next day I got a message from them halfway through the print. I was like, "All right, good for you guys, man."
That is so cool. Yeah. What was the print like? Was it just like artwork? Was it letters?
It was at a like clay shooting sportsman, whatever you would call that, sportsman center, and they did. It was like kind of like orange plantation old photograph.
Watercolor.
Yeah, like an old photograph that they did.
Holy cow, that's
It's
crazy.
really very, very well executed. It's interesting. Anybody who's
Wow.
thinking about getting into this business, like, understand, like, we typically tell people, like, I break it into, like, there's wall printing and then there's advanced wall printing. Like, that would definitely be the advanced stuff. Again, not our advice to necessarily start out of the gate with that, but I don't know, take a couple guys from Florida. I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
I called it the frontier. Yeah. Like, those guys are on the front. There's like advanced wall printing that people have done. These guys were literally on the cusp of, what this thing is capable of doing. It was crazy.
I love that.
To put it in perspective, one of the big reasons I got the project was they were able to turn it around in under 4 days. They got the call. The customer said they wanted it. They had a grand opening. They had this big white wall, and they're like, it's going to take us 3 weeks to get something else alternatively put up on the wall. Like, can you guys turn this around? They're like, yes, we'll figure it out.
That's awesome.
Just put in the work to like run the tests and go through it.
And that brings up an interesting point, because that's
4 days plus.
Yeah, that's part of.
I was gonna say plus a day of printing.
Yeah, that's part of the interesting side of this is, like, as you do it, I think it's pretty obvious when you look at, like, our Facebook ad or whatever, like, what it is and why it's exciting. It's like absolutely captivating, but there's like so many nuances to why it's a good business. Like, there's so many nuances, like, beyond just the simple side of things. And Marc brings up a good point with these guys we got down in Florida. It's like, one of the ones I push that I'm like, later in your sales cycle, 3 to 6 months in, I want you to start using the phrase on-demand printing. We have sat on site with an interior designer who was like, which red? Maybe not this one, maybe this one. And we just sat there and we're like, look, whenever you're ready to go, we're not really in any particular rush here. This is what, this is the print we're doing today. Let us know, and we'd be happy to, like, take whatever advice you want, fix it now on our screen, and then go print it. It's like, I always tell people, like, think about that for a second. Think of trying to accomplish that in any other medium, any other way of a guys sitting there on demand as you like it. If you're not ready for it, like, we'll wait for you until you are ready, right? And that's really powerful to people that use any sort of graphic solution regularly. The ability to be flexible on schedule, especially anything attached to construction, so powerful. Like, because nobody else can do it. Not even your electrician can realistically run their business where they're not 3 weeks out trying to schedule things. Whereas for us, it's like, as long as we're not interfering with a major job, and even if we are, you start looking at multiple machines, what you'd be able to do with that. Yeah, we're really very much just an on-demand print company, which I think is a very powerful descriptor. Again, too early in the cycle for that to be meaningful if we put that on our website. But as operators use it and as interior designers find it, that actually might be one of the big cornerstones that moves this, is like, well, you could go vinyl, terrible for the environment, looks like a sticker, like probably is going to fall off. Or, right, you go on-demand printing, which has all these great benefits, and when you go apples to apple, like, right around the same price. So why wouldn't you? I think we'll find as the industry matures that becomes a very big bullet point of, like, why would you use it? As opposed to the alternatives. Yeah,
that's awesome. I guess looking ahead for wallPen, I think I might have mentioned this before, but is there anything that you guys are like working on that customers have been sort of looking to do that you can share? Maybe not.
Looking for secrets now, James. No. The journey and the development never stops for us. That's the truth. Every day we're trying new things. We'll again, even when it comes from the already very local supply chain.
Right.
We're always looking at alternatives, sustainability, having that sort of consistency. We've increased our production capacity massively. The turnaround times have massively improved to also meet the demands. And I think when it comes to innovation, there is, obviously, the now exciting white ink is not the end of things. Yeah, there might be additional projects in the future. There might be different types of inks. Even who knows? The possibilities there are also you can use your imagination there. There's a lot of things.
Did I hear drones printing from the sky?
You never know. You never know. You never
glow
know.
in the dark ink, maybe.
Laser eyes, glow in the dark. But it really is the beginning of an exciting journey when it comes to these aspects. But we'll see what the future brings. We'll also see what our customers experience out there, what the demand might be. That can flip and change any day. Yeah, the need for innovation, the need for something unique is, I think, omnipresent and always there with us. And it's something that we do try to capture as good as we possibly can, without losing track of the let's say day-to-day business of fulfilling Marc's orders, for example.
I think that's so important. Like for anyone who's watching this or listening to this, like there's very few companies out there that will actually listen to the community and be able to make changes that people are looking for. I know like companies do that, but like just in listening with the experiences that Marc and Marc have had with like the 5-6 years of being with wallPen, and then just hearing this from Luke himself, like it's a constantly just like innovating on the product as we're going forward, like learning from the community, what things are working, what things are not working, how do we change those things that are not working, and then seeing those changes implemented and keeping the product being pushed forward. And again, it's all new, and it's still like it's just pushing the boundaries of what vertical printing can be, which I think is awesome.
I feel like that was a really
it.
subtle.
Anything else, you guys?
Yeah, I feel like that was a really subtle dig at the iPhone 15 that you were just doing there, James. Is that what you were implying? Is like everybody who's stuck in innovation? That's what it felt like. That's what I kept thinking. Is like,
It took them forever to get that USB port there. Like,
innovation.
But I understand why they're trying to, they're trying to do their thing, right? They're trying to make dollars somewhere else. But yeah, anyways. Any last words? Any last like key sales tips? Any words to live by that you can share with the community to inspire them?
What
Put
I
you
like
on the
to
spot,
say is,
yeah.
no, you're not. But that's exactly what I want to say is, go for it. Grab the opportunity and really, make it your own business, make it your own, way of living. Even, it's something that we can offer the tool in order for you to be successful, in order for you to be creative, and again, with our support, we're here for you guys, and it's something where we can go the journey together, and it's super exciting times. Thank you, James.
That's awesome. That's good. All right, so I guess we'll wrap it up there for this episode. Again, thank you to Marc and Marc. Thank you, Luke, for joining us on this episode number 8 of the wallPen podcast, the art and business of vertical printing. See you guys next episode.
Appreciate it, Luke. Good to see you guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.